My purpose this evening is to convince you guys to utilize safer practices both personally and professionally in regards to antibiotic-resistant bacteria. According to StepAheadMicro.com, antimicrobial resistance is a major public health issue worldwide, largely driven by antibiotic misuse and overuse, which affects both people and animals. Coordinated action to combat resistance is required in both human and veterinary medicine. Did you know that in 2013, the CDC published a report outlining the top 18 drug-resistant threats to the United States? Now, I've looked at this list, and there are 3 of these that we come in contact with every day in our professional lives. Step Ahead also states that today there are relatively few antibiotics in the development pipeline to meet the challenge of multi-drug resistance. The most prudent use of existing antibiotics in both humans and animals is therefore essential to preserve their therapeutic efficacy and prevent further emergence and spread of multi-drug resistant bacteria. So let's first recognize that we have a problem in this area. Next, we will discuss what we can do to correct it. And then finally, how our efforts can be reflected. So let's begin with how we found ourselves in this situation. The WHO states that the use and misuse of antimicrobial drugs accelerates the emergence of drug-resistant strains. Now, at naturalresourcedefensecouncil.org, I learned that 80% of all the antibiotics sold in the United States is for use on livestock and poultry, not on humans. The majority of these animals are not sick. The antibiotics are instead used as a substitution for healthier living conditions and to make the animals grow faster. This action kills off weak bacteria and creates the perfect environment for antibiotic-resistant bacteria to multiply and thrive. The routine misuse and overuse of antibiotics in this way threatens public health when essential drugs no longer work to fight against infections. I also checked out the FDA.gov, who states many things that we are already familiar with, but we tend to get very complacent about. Antibiotics are meant to be used on bacterial infections only and are ineffective against viruses. Using antibiotics against viral infections will not cure the infection, it will not keep other people from catching it, and it will not help a person feel better. This action may cause unnecessary harmful side effects and contribute to the development of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. When antibiotics don't work anymore, the result can be longer, more complicated illnesses, the use of stronger and more expensive medications, and deaths caused by bacterial infections. So let's now discuss how we can combat this issue. According to NRDC.org, we all have a voice and a role to play in keeping antibiotics working by curbing their misuse and overuse, as well as practicing proven public health strategies. As consumers, we can all motivate the meat industry to only use medically important antibiotics. When shopping or dining out, ask or buy meats and poultries that have been raised without antibiotics. Now, the CDC is always going to encourage us to do the following: wash your hands, and always wear gloves when dealing with patients. I found some interesting facts at thebody.com. MRSA can live on environmental surfaces for up to an hour, and the VRE germ can be found up to 5 to 7 days on countertops, 24 hours on bed rails, and 60 minutes on telephone handpieces. Stay up to date on all your vaccines, follow food safety guidelines, and use antibiotics the right way. FDA guidelines state that you should only take antibiotics for bacterial infections and only when given by a certified healthcare professional. Take all of the prescribed medication. Don't stop taking it because you start to feel better. Do not skip doses, and do not take someone else's medication. Now, how can these practices help us? The CDC states that efforts to prevent antibiotic resistance build on the foundation of proven public health strategies like the ones we just discussed. It is encouraging that due to consumer demand, antibiotic-free meat and poultry are currently available in grocery stores, and popularity is growing. Some fast food chains like Chick-fil-A, Panera Bread, and Chipotle Mexican Grill have all publicly announced they're phasing out of antibiotic-fed meats and poultries. So if you decide to make the switch, you can still enjoy the occasional fast food outing. Let's revisit the CDC. Hand washing is always going to be one of the best ways to remove germs, avoid getting sick, and prevent the spread of germs to others. Over the years, vaccines have prevented countless cases of infectious disease and have saved millions of lives. Taking antibiotics when they are not needed increases your risk of getting infection later that resists antibiotic treatment. Many of the solutions we've discussed here are quite simple, although the problem is quite complex. I recommend that you check out the WHO's website on this issue. There's a lot of valuable information there. Antimicrobial resistance threatens the effective prevention and treatment of an ever-increasing range of infections. As we have discussed, there are many things that we can do to attack this worldwide threat. The WHO also stated in a 2014 report that without urgent coordinated action, the world is heading towards a post-antibiotic era in which common illnesses and minor injuries that have been treatable for decades could once again kill. That's a very scary thought, especially for us, something that could affect us at home as well as at work. The choices we make in our lifetimes will inevitably affect the safety of those long after us. My mother has always said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. As always, thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedules to listen. We should all go wash our hands.
Thank you.